Hey BookTube, it's Sarah and welcome back to my channel, The Book Bag. Today I'm going to be talking about The Love Curse of Melody McIntyre by Robin Talley. So in this book there's a teacher who makes brownies for all of the casts and crews parties and stuff, and I thought it was time for another cooking video because there's been a lot of requests just from one person for more cooking videos. So we're gonna make brownies today. And I think this should go a lot better than my one last stop video because I have made these brownies before. So hopefully multitasking is a little bit easier, but who knows. To get started, all you need is your handy dandy book bag because all the ingredients will conveniently be inside it. So we've got vanilla, a little bit of salt, not that much salt, brown sugar, normal sugar, big old bag of chocolate chips. We also need flour, butter or margarine, and eggs. So pretty easy, pretty simple, your basic baking ingredients. Get that out of the way. Get my handy dandy recipe book. Okay, now that we're all set up, the first thing we're gonna do is melt half a cup of butter and 2 cups of chocolate chips in the microwave. Half cup. So, The Love Curse of Melody McIntyre is a book set in a high school. It's a teen book, so that's expected, where our main character, Melody, is the stage manager for the high school's theater productions. It starts out with Melody managing the school's performance, fall performance of Romeo and Juliet, and her girlfriend of the time breaking up with her in the middle of the show and kind of screwing Melody up a little bit when she's doing the light cues. And so basically the crew of this school have these little superstitions that they believe. So kind of like the normal theater and ballet sort of superstitions of don't say good luck, you say break a leg. You don't say Macbeth in the theater. You say the Scottish play, all that sort of stuff, except each year they make up their own superstitions that will help the play go smoothly. So after the run of the first play, they decide that Melody is always dating someone and they've had all these issues throughout the years, so their new curse, or their new superstition should be that Melody can't date anyone for the duration of the play. Which is a lot to ask of someone when the other ones are just don't whistle in the theater, and if you do, you have to spin around a few times and apologize. But they're put your love life on hold for a whole semester of school when Melody enjoys dating and is a high schooler who just wants her love life to go well. So that was the first thing. I felt really bad for Melody because in this instance, it was her relationship that ended up causing some of the issues. But it wasn't her fault that her girlfriend, who was a costume designer, decided to storm into the lighting booth and be I can't believe you would abandon me for the play. You don't pay attention to me because the play's on. And I'm she's busy, girl. That seems valid to me. And also you should be, waiting until after the show. Ooh, also for the recipe, I should have chosen a bigger bowl. I like to do just slightly less than 2 cups of chocolate chips, and then I will pour some chocolate chips in later so that you get some still whole chocolate chips throughout the brownies when you eat them. Okay, so step 1 is not using this kind of bowl because it is now very full of stuff, but that's fine. Okay, anyways, so the book starts off in a rough spot for Melody. Something that was interesting about Melody is she's very in charge for a high schooler. She's I'm running the show, and I'm you're 16, girl, calm down. Also, they don't seem to have any other school really in this book, which I didn't mind too much because the theater shenanigans were very entertaining. And I didn't mind ignoring the fact that they were actually supposed to have real life school, homework and stuff. for all the theater things. And at the beginning, Melody reminded me a little bit of, I can't remember her name, but the main character from A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow. Not like, she's not like depressed like that character is or anything, but just in the way that she was very like, I know what I'm doing, I've got all under control, I'm in charge here sort of mentality. And what I really appreciate about this book that didn't really happen in the other book, and is probably a big reason of why I disliked that book so much, was that there were like teachers here who were like actually in charge, and who would kind of like tell the kids to like take it down a notch or be like, hey, you're way out of your, like, you're on a power trip, you need to calm down. Hashtag Taylor Swift. And like, you're still a child. So that was a good kind of like reality check, which I appreciated a lot, because I don't mind the kind of like suspension of disbelief of like having main characters who are high school aged and you know, doing all sorts of things. But I did appreciate that they were like, hey, this is a high school production. You don't actually know what it's like to like work real theater. You've done a couple shows. Things go wrong all the time. Calm your bones, children. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Anyways, so yes, so the crew has decided that Melody cannot date anyone for the duration of the next play, which is a musical, and it's Les Mis, which is Melody's like favorite play / musical ever, and she's super pumped about it. And she's like, you know what, I'm a stage manager, I'm in charge of the children's, I must do my duty to like protect this crew and this play from all of the awfulness that could happen because of this curse. So like I owe it to these guys to like not date anyone so that we can have a good play. Which I'm like, wow, very noble, but like, damn girl, that's, you need to set some boundaries, because it's not really okay to ask people to like not date because you think there might be a curse. But whatever. Okay, so now we have the melted chocolate chips and the butter in the bowl. We are going to whisk in 3/4 cups of brown sugar and 3/4 cups of white granulated sugar. So we'll leave the spatula for now. You can go sit over by the sink here. Don't fall in, don't fall in. Good job. Okay, my 1/4 cups. And so, you know, once they've established that Melody cannot fall in love with anyone during the duration of the play, of course she's going to go fall in love with someone. So there's another character named Odile? I don't know how to say it. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. Anyways, but she is like the pop star. Did I put 3? I did put 3 of those in. Okay. She's kind of like the major like superstar of the school. She's an actress, and then she's like gone on to do like some TV shows and stuff, and I think she's supposed to be a senior, and she's, you know, making it big. She's going to be like in the next Martin Scorsese movie and stuff. So she comes back to be one of the leads in the play. And Melody's like big name actress, ugh, so annoying. I bet she's awful, and everyone's like, ugh, I bet she's so stuck up. But of course she turns out to be absolutely lovely, and Melody finds herself falling for her. Okay, 1 cup. Can't talk while I'm counting or I will lose count. I'm aware I'm counting to 3, but I will still lose count. Squeeze the air out of that boy. The boy being the sugar bag, not a human man. Please do not squeeze the air out of people. That's not good. It's called murder. Okay, and that's a different book that I was reading recently, but I digress. We are now going to whisk. Yes, we're now going to whisk these all together. Gotta get that stuff off the edge. Anyways, so Melody starts hanging out with the superstar and starts falling for her, and the crew kind of like notices a little bit and is like, what gives? You're not supposed to fall in love. And she's like,
and I said, no, you know, like a liar.
No, we're just friends, it's fine. And so the crew's like a little bit upset with her because they think she's fallen for this girl, which of course she is. And what's really interesting is there's like this theme of kind of like trust and like community throughout the book, of like, you know, part of the reason that like the crew has these superstitions and stuff is like it's like a community thing, like it bonds them together, it's like a fun little thing for them to do, and they don't really tell the actors about it, which is obviously a problem when Melody is falling for an actress, but she doesn't know that there's this, you know, like curse, this superstition that the crew has that Melody can't date. So the poor girl is just like, what's going on? Even though there is this theme of like, you know, the crew trusting each other and having each other's backs and like being this little community, there's not this solidarity with the actors. There's a lot of like gossiping about the actors. They place bets on like which actors are gonna hook up during the run of the shows all the time. So there's this really, you know, like, oh, we're so like inclusive, we're such like a tight-knit family, but they're really like a little clique. So that ends up rearing its head later in the book too, and being a little bit of an issue. Okay, these are whisked, I would say. Okay, now we are going to whisk in eggs one at a time. So I need 4 eggs. And not a broken egg. Eggs are the bane of my existence when I cook. Just kidding, everything's the bane of my existence when I cook. I am not a skilled chef. Because if being chef was my job, we would all starve. Homemaker I am not. I really liked also the way that this book was set up. So I have the book here. It had these like cute little, like it's like the prologue, but it also had them like split into like, it's like Act 1, intermission, Act 2, curtain call. And I thought that was like a cute little reference to the, you know, everything taking place in the theater world. And also the intermission was like entirely dialogue, which I thought was a kind of fun idea of switching up the style of writing to show that like the intermission is different and kind of, it wasn't outside of the plot, but it was like, you know, little glimpses into moments that didn't directly contribute to the plot. So it was like Melody and her superstar crush falling for each other and starting to hang out and kiss and stuff. Also, I hate in teen books when they say that they're like hooking up, because I don't know what that means. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like, you know, getting together, making out, but like if I said hooking up, I would mean like sleeping with someone, like having a one-night stand or something. So every time I'm like, oh yeah, and like they hooked up, and I'm like, are these like 14-year-olds having sex? And they just mean like they're, you know, making out. But ooh, I also, Melody is like a bisexual main character, so that was really fun. And there was a discussion of like, because she had several boyfriends and girlfriends before, so there was a discussion of like, just because she's dated a lot of people, that doesn't make her like a slut, and like the anti-slut shaming message was really nice. Getting back to it, we got our eggs in there. Okay, then we're gonna whisk in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Where are my spoons? My spoons. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Anyways, so they're falling in love. The rest of the cast is like, oh my god, things are going wrong. Like a guy fell through a gap in the stairs and broke his leg, which is honestly one of my worst nightmares. I hate stairs that have like the holes in between the steps. I am always worried that somehow I'm going to jam my leg in there and break it. And then this book just validated that fear. So thanks, book. And all sorts of other things are going wrong, and they're like, oh my god, Melody, are you sure you're not like falling for this girl, because everything's a disaster. Stuff was like burning down. They like had to redo all their costumes and stuff. And they're like, oh my god, Melody, how could you do this to us? You have betrayed us. Not great. And then it kind of comes down to one of the actors finding out about this curse and then being like, you did this to us, and calling her out in front of everyone. I only put 1 egg in. We need to put 4 eggs in. So we put the vanilla in before the eggs, but that's fine. I don't think it really matters all that much. So there's egg number 2. Anyways, so this actor calls her out and is like, you're the reason things are going wrong. There's this curse he didn't tell us about. Obviously, the superstar love interest is not happy about that. She's being like lied to, and you know, they've kept this from her. Melody's life is kind of falling apart. But of course, it does have a happy ending. They all come to their senses. The teacher's like, you guys, these curses aren't real. and then like kind of had a little chat with Melody where he like gives her a bit of a reality check, being like, hey, so your job as a stage manager is to make sure the show runs smoothly and to make sure that like you have a cohesive team in the crew, but like also with the cast, so that you're there to like be a leader and to show how you guys should all be working together. And these curses are like fun until they, you know, do this and like ruin your personal life, because they're not real and things just go wrong all the time. Like you would not believe the like sort of stuff that goes wrong in like Broadway shows. So that was really nice to have a teacher be like, you guys are just dumb little kids and you're wrong and you need to like pull yourselves together and get over yourselves. And that's Mr. Green, who made the like world famous brownies that he brings to all the like cast events and everything, and everyone's like, oh my god, brownies. They're like little monsters when they see the brownies. It's hilarious. I thought the romance between Melody and Odile, the superstar, was very cute. They were a very sweet couple. I liked at the end Melody's like promposal to get her back was very fitting. It was like a good, nice, specific romantic gesture that wasn't like frickin' simmer down, which I talked about in my One Last Stop video. But yes, it was a very cute romantic gesture that like fit them as a couple and was like specific to the superstar. I really should have learned how to say her name, but we're just gonna call her the superstar forever. Okay, now we're gonna stir in flour and salt. So goodbye Whiskey Whisk, you're done for today. 1 cup of flour and a half teaspoon of salt. Okay, so now we're gonna put 1 cup of flour in there. Okay. I really also enjoyed reading this book because it reminded me of my high school days a little bit. My whole life was not theater or anything. I was not like a theater kid. But somehow my friends and I ended up being on the like costume and makeup design part of our school's theater productions for like 2.5 years, which is wild because none of us are particularly interested in costume design or makeup. But it was really very enjoyable actually. We got to go to like lots of thrift stores all the time. There was one show where we helped like sew some stuff. We didn't really do a lot of that. That was the first year we helped and we kind of didn't do a ton. But we mostly went to like thrift stores. I ended up like dyeing a dress for Alice in Wonderland purple. We got to like learn how to do old age makeup, which was really fun. But yeah, it was just like, it was a really fun experience, and this book did make me miss doing makeup and costumes for the theater. It's very exciting, lots of like fun things happening all the time, a fun little like community. Obviously we were not as invested or as like involved as Melody is in this book. Like we're not running the show or anything, most of our work was beforehand designing and buying / making costumes, plus doing makeup day of the show. But I very related. There's one scene where she was talking about like how some actors just kind of like are divas. Like most of them are very nice, but sometimes they're just like little divas and they just expect you to kind of like be their assistants, or they just like drop their clothes everywhere. And we definitely had a couple actors like that every year. There was like one girl who just would not stop talking. Like my friend would be trying to do her makeup and she just like would not shut up, and it's like, can you stop moving your face? I'm trying to put stuff on it. There were a few actors who would just like leave their stuff. I think the same girl too used to just like leave her stuff all over the ground, and we were like, can you please like hang these costumes back up that we spent a long time working on and like making? So we asked this guy like, what size shirt do you normally wear? Because we were gonna go out and buy stuff. And he went, tight. And we were like, how is that helpful? What do you mean you buy your shirts tight? You're not coming with us. We can't be like, oh yes, can you show us your tightest shirts, please? So that was very funny and a little ridiculous. And okay, now we need a half teaspoon of salt. half teaspoon salt. Forgot to preheat the oven. Also, before you start all this, preheat the oven to 325. Okay. But yeah, so overall, I think The Love Curse of Melody McIntyre was a very cute book, especially if you're like a theater kid or were a theater kid. It's really, the author really nailed what it feels like to be part of a production like that, especially in high school. I mean, Melody School was like, it sounded like based entirely around the arts pretty much. They had like a huge budget for all these things and like got state-of-the-art stuff. Our productions were nothing like that. We had like $1,000 for all of our costumes per play. So, and that was when we were doing Alice in Wonderland, where there were like 20 different people we had to costume or more. So it was, you know, there's a wide difference in budget and technological capabilities, but still had the same kind of like frantic last minute madness that happens regardless of how big your show is. And it was like a really cute romance in it too. All the characters were very fun. I like that it had that message of like, when you say community, it's like your whole community, not just like little like gate subsections that are more like cliques and all the gatekeeping and everything that they were doing. So that also was great to see in a teen book. Good book. Yeah, I think I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. So was very enjoyable, very cute. I think it's actually set in the spring, but it really gave me like fall vibes. I don't know why. Now we are going to get a 9x13 pan, layer it with parchment paper, and then pour the brownie goop into it. But first we have to remember to sprinkle the extra chippets in there. I don't measure these ones, I just sprinkle in however many I think I want in my brownies. Stir those boys in. So I guess I was wrong when I said a recipe I've done before would be easier to multitask with, because I almost forgot to do 3 cores of the eggs. So I guess I'm just really bad at multitasking, but hopefully it makes for an entertaining video. And then get your handy dandy kitchen assistant to help you pour it in, because parchment paper does not stay. Here he is. Scoop it, scoop. Scoop it, scoop, scoop.
Did that look pro or what?
It was beautiful. You like folded it off the edge. What's wet? Oh, it's just actual wet. Oh, I need the spatula to spread it out.
Oh, missed some.
Thank you, handy dandy kitchen assistant. And then you're going to spread this evenly across the pan as much as possible so that it cooks evenly. And then my recipe says to cook it for 45 minutes, but I think it usually takes closer to an hour. So I think I'll just set my timer for like 50 minutes and go from there. I don't know, these always turn out pretty good. This is not the best brownie recipe, that still belongs to my mom's brownies, but they're a lot more complicated to make and require ingredients that I don't generally have in my kitchen. So I make these ones because I usually have all of those things in my kitchen cupboards. A lot easier. But the real good ones are the ones my mom makes with the icing. And then as you wait for your oven to preheat, you can just eat the batter. Pretty tasty.
1 hour later.
Okay, so it's been about an hour now. And I took them out at the 45-minute mark, but they were still very gooey in the middle. And not in a nice way, like they were wet. So, we're going to try them. We're going to do the toothpick test, where you jab a toothpick in the middle, and it comes out mostly clean, like that. Then it is good. So we can turn off our oven so you don't burn the place down. And then I'm going to put the brownies, whole pan just on a wire rack so they can cool a little bit. And then we can eat them eventually. You can just look at how beautiful they are. Nice and crinkled. And they look like they're going to be very tasty. So, very excited. So now the brownies have cooled and Wesley won't burn his tongue to death. We can, do you want to cut them?
No.
No? Gotta have both hands primed for grabbing.
Yeah.
I don't like the edges. Here, would you like half a brownie sort of in your hand? Because we're heathens. Yes, Wesley's a corner brownie kind of person. I am a middle piece brownie kind of person, so I don't care about the crispy edges because that is not a desirable thing to me.
10 out of 10.
Nice. They still have some of those chocolate chips I sprinkled in. They're kind of ooey gooey melty. Very good. You'd think we didn't have plates or something. They're very crumbly, and they don't really come out in like a square brownie shape.
Not until tomorrow.
Here, have the edge. So we just kind of eat by the finger pinchful.
Would devour again.
Will devour again. That's what he means. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a great excuse to make baked goods. And let me know if you end up checking out The Love Curse of Melody McIntyre, because I thought it was a very cute, very fun little book. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. This is just making me think of that SNL skit where Emily Blunt is like the Honda robot and like, would you like an ooey gooey quesadilla? Odile? How the fuck do you say her name? It's like the evil swan in Swan Lake. Yeah.